It's December 1st, 2002. We're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where a surging Atlanta Falcons team is locked in a tight overtime game with the struggling Minnesota Vikings. There's plenty of time left on the clock, but with the Falcons already past midfield, Minnesota desperately needs a stop to keep their hopes alive. To appreciate what comes next, we need to recognize how a team that had a taste of success plummeted so quickly. How a franchise that knew how to win is facing a sad new reality. And how step by step, a quarterback is revolutionizing how the position is played. Let's rewind. Tied at 24 on Minnesota's 46-yard line, the Falcons find themselves in a nice spot to snatch a win on the road. They have the pieces offensively to get the job done. It's just those pieces are the result of a huge fall from grace. Historically, the Atlanta Falcons aren't regarded as an NFL powerhouse. Since their first season in 1966, the franchise made the playoffs just 6 times. So when the 1998 season rolled around and the team finished with a franchise-best 14-2 record, it looked to be the beginning of something special. Behind a potent rushing attack led by running back Jamal Anderson, the Falcons pounded teams into the ground, and they had fun doing it too. The more and more Anderson got into the end zone, the more the team was able to capture the nation behind his renowned Dirty Bird celebration dance. Defensively, the Falcons soared around the field and made opposing offenses give up the ball often. Together, it was a formula for an extremely unexpected rise that saw Atlanta dance all the way to the Super Bowl. However, their dream season came to an end against a just as powerful Denver Broncos squad. With their main pieces intact, Atlanta's future still looked bright. Until it wasn't. Jamal Anderson suffered a season-ending knee injury in week 2, and as he went down, the team's offensive production went along with him. It's understandable to see a dip offensively when you lose a player of his stature. Defensively, though, with no major shakeups, they just weren't as ferocious. The Super Bowl hangover is a real thing that's affected teams in the past, but whatever the Falcons drank in the '99 Super Bowl, they looked fatigued over the next few seasons. Nevertheless, the 2002 season is where the franchise and the NFL saw a bit of a shakeup. After a short stint with an odd number of teams, the league expanded to an even 32, landing the Falcons in the newly created NFC South. With a new-look division came a new-look squad. After Anderson was forced into retirement following a second season-ending knee injury, the Falcons acquired 2-time Pro Bowl running back Warrick Dunn, then drafted the stocky TJ Duckett with their first-round draft pick. Dunn and Duckett provided a dynamically balanced rushing attack, where Dunn would tire defenders out with his speed, leaving Duckett to plow right through them. Defensively, the team looked refreshed as well, thanks to new defensive coordinator Wade Phillips. With Phillips installing a 3-4 defensive scheme, the Falcons got right back to their ball hawk ways of the past. Linebacker Keith Brooken controlled things up front, and veteran cornerback Big Play Ray Buchanan handled business in the back, allowing the Falcons to gobble up turnovers all season. And this game has been no different. After a slow first drive that resulted in an easy Vikings touchdown, the Falcons D locked in, snatching 3 picks on the game. In addition to the turnovers, they harassed the quarterback all day, most notably sacking him twice during the Vikings drive in overtime. But the biggest play came in the 4th when their special teams blocked a field goal by Gary Anderson, a kicker who hadn't missed at home all season. That kick would have put Minnesota ahead in the 4th, making this a different game. Instead, the Vikings find themselves here in overtime needing a huge stop, a position that unfortunately for Vikings fans feels all too familiar against Atlanta. These two squads squared off against each other in the 1998 NFC Championship. While the Falcons were dangerous in their own right, the '98 Vikings were one of the greatest teams to touch the field in NFL history. With a stingy defense led by All-Pro defensive tackle John Randall, scoring against this team was tough. On the other side of the ball, the Vikings undoubtedly had the best wideout duo in the game. Chris Carter and rookie receiver Randy Moss destroyed secondaries week after week and constantly ran up the score against opponents. On special teams, Minnesota had the most automatic kicker you can ask for in Gary Anderson, who hadn't missed a field goal or extra point all season. The team had very few flaws, and they continued their dominance throughout the conference championship. While the Vikings had that historic offense to lean on, it was the defense that positioned them to win the game. They forced 2 turnovers against a Falcons team who rarely gave the ball up, and stopped 4 Atlanta drives across midfield in the second half. including what looked to be the Falcons' last drive to tie the game, as they failed to convert a first down as time ticked away in the fourth. So when Gary Anderson lined up for a 38-yard field goal to put the game away, his dependable leg would for sure send the Vikings to the Super Bowl. Except, nothing is ever guaranteed, and the kicker who hadn't missed in 123 attempts saw his kick fly just to the left. The kick gave the Falcons new life, which they turned into an overtime W, backed by the leg of their own Anderson. It was a heartbreaking loss for a franchise that's already experienced their fair share of sorrow. Luckily, the Vikings offense continued to remain consistent, making them a threat in the NFC the following years. But when they got back to the conference championship, even a tragic loss would have felt better than throwing up a goose egg. In hindsight though, getting whooped in the conference championship seems a lot more appealing than taking loss after loss in the regular season. The Vikings just weren't the same after that thrashing. Between the firing of longtime coach Dennis Green, players beefing with their teammates, and wasting the last year of their franchise best receiver Chris Carter, it was an all-time low for a once great team. And as they looked to start anew in the 2002 season, their problems only continued. They opened up this season with 4 straight L's, and although their offense seemed to be getting back on track, the team's defense was awful. They entered Week 13 with only 3 wins. Given their porous defense, facing a Falcons team that was hitting their stride offensively, the Vikings needed all the help they could get. Whether it was being energized by the sold-out home crowd, or recognizing the importance of how getting their second win over a winning team could build momentum going forward, the defense came to play. They came up big by snagging 3 takeaways, keeping them in the game, as their offense managed to keep stride with Atlanta. Right now, this defense needs one more enormous stop to try to steal a win from a playoff hopeful team. To do that, they need to contain a player who's unlike anything the NFL has ever seen. The day before the 2001 draft, the Falcons struck a deal with the San Diego Chargers for the first overall pick. Their choice was obvious: Michael Vick. The electrifying left-handed quarterback had a rocket for an arm and led his undefeated Virginia Tech Hokies to the BCS National Championship game as a redshirt freshman. Not only was Vick extremely efficient through the air, but he terrorized opposing defenses on the ground. With lightning-fast speed and the reflexes of a Jeopardy champion, Vick either scooted past defenders or just juked you right at your cleats. Before Vick, mobile quarterbacks had succeeded in the NFL, but they were few and far between. Scrambling Fran Tarkenton helped establish the blueprint of what a quarterback can do with their legs. While Fran could sling the rock with the best of them, he was an innovator of his craft, rushing for an absurd amount of yards throughout his career. Steve Young expanded on that blueprint, showing the skills to maneuver out of the pocket and extend plays that otherwise looked dead. Randall Cunningham was the embodiment of a true dual-threat QB. He torched defenders whenever he got free on the edge, but if you tried to keep him in the pocket, he shredded you over the top as well. By the time Vick entered the league, it wasn't a strange sight to see quarterbacks be effective with their legs. But Vick's combination of his arm strength plus pure athleticism made him the most dynamic dual-threat quarterback to step into the league. Vick saw limited action in his rookie season, but with every opportunity, he sparked new life into a franchise that needed excitement. This season, in his second year, the Falcons fully turned the team over to Vick, and he made his presence felt from the jump. The Falcons started off the season slow, going 1-3, but they got rolling through an undefeated 7 weeks. During that stretch, Vick continued to show his efficiency through the air, but his nose for finding the end zone on the ground stuck out. He made defenders look silly in their pursuit of taking him down, and often they couldn't. And the red-hot Falcons looked to keep that success headed into Minnesota. The Vikings were well aware of Vick's abilities as a runner, but there's only so much game planning you can do to combat his skill set out the backfield. Minnesota's defense did a good job of slowing Vick down early, but with speed like his, you can't hold him down forever. With the game tied at 7 in the second quarter, Vick put his shiftiness on display, ducking from a sack and showing just how dangerous he can be in the open field. As thrilling as Vick's been with the ball in his hands throughout his career thus far, it's also came with some turnover issues. And today we got the full experience, good and bad. Like how he can zoom past defenders on that 40-yard scramble, then somehow throw the ball directly at TJ Duckett's feet on what looked to be a routine handoff the very next play. Or a few drives later, where he just does too much to extend a play, eventually resulting in his second lost fumble of the game. But he immediately got right back to doing his thing and followed that up by effortlessly floating a deep ball with pristine precision for a touchdown. He may be careless with the ball at times, but the Falcons rely on Vick's playmaking abilities to win games. The offense goes as he does, and in the second half, Vick put on a show. Down 21-14 late in the third, Vick called his own number and drove the Falcons down the field by himself in just 6 plays, capping off the drive with a smooth 28-yard touchdown run to tie the game. Vick entered the fourth quarter with a career-high 117 rushing yards, and with his legs again, kept the pivotal Falcons drive alive for them to take the lead with 3:33 left to go in the fourth. But just as the Falcons looked to put Minnesota away, the Vikings offense exploded late thanks to Randy Moss. On a 3rd and 16 play that looked dead in the backfield, Dante Culpepper found a shrieking Randy Moss wide open down the field to keep the drive going. Randy really did it all, and for a moment he looked to finish things off, not with his reliable hands, but through the air on a trick play finding Culpepper for a touchdown. Except for that moment quickly vanished, as the play was overturned for an illegal formation penalty, forcing the Vikings to settle for a field goal and send the game to overtime. Which brings us here. The Falcons have a quarterback phenom under center ready to close this game out, but Vick hasn't been perfect, and one more big stop can immediately swing things back in Minnesota's favor. A stop that can inspire hope in a franchise that's lately looked lost. For the Falcons, it would be another win for a team finally heading back in the right direction. Next score wins. All eyes on Vick. Welcome to a moment in history.
Vick, play action. Rolling to his right, and he's running 45-40, 35-30, back to the middle, 20, breaks the tackle, and he is gone! Ball game! Michael Vick with another spectacular run.
Oh well, look at you. You made it this far. To congratulate yourself, you might as well go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. If you're a fan of the Minnesota Vikings and you don't like seeing your team on the losing end of things, well, check them out pulling off a miracle. Or if you just enjoy watching dope-ass sports moments, we got plenty more for you.